Call to order the regular, actually no, it's a special meeting of the Board of Education at 7 p.m., actually 7:06, I guess, on Monday, January 22nd, 2018. Roll call, please.
Chairman Querfeld?
Here.
Vice Chair Papaholzer? Here. Secretary Sienna?
Here.
Janet Balsamo? Here. Carolyn Candelora? Here. Vincent Mace?
Here.
Marcy Anafrio? Here.
Would you please join me in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving to visitors' comments that are limited to the agenda. Are there any visitors' comments limited to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to our student representative reports.
On the professional development front, Assistant Principal Greg Woods and Guidance Counselor Melinda Bulge attended Power School training on January 8th and January 9th provided by Power School representatives. This update training focused upon the effective use of Power School and provided updates for the most recent versions of the software.
Professional development at North Branford High School on January 10th included special education staff attending a writing strategies workshop at central office provided by the State Education Resource Center, and NVHS staff and students presenting to certified staff on the work of Dr. Carol Dweck of Stanford University, Fixed versus Growth Mindset. This is a follow-up to the annual professional development provided by the Shoreline Principals Association that has included teachers and students during the 2015 to 16, 16 to 17, and 17 to 18 school years. The North Branford High School Homework Exploratory Committee also met to review the results of the staff survey completed this fall and to begin to draft a student and parent survey to be administered this spring.
Lauren Danner, Tracy Wooten, Carter Welch, Keith O'Rourke, and Todd Stuffler attended a Next Generation Science Standards workshop at the Connecticut Science Center on January 18th and 19th. The state of Connecticut adopted the Next Generation Science Standards during 2015, and science teachers have been participating in professional development on-site, off-site, and online since the adoption of the standards. This workshop focused upon successful implementation and leadership in the area of science education.
10 members of the North Branford High School music program participated in the Southern Regional Festival on January 11th and January 12th at Middletown High School. This prestigious event includes the best of the best from the southern portion of the state of Connecticut.
The North Branford High School Athletic Program is one of several schools from the Shoreline Conference who continues to participate in the CIAC Class Act Sportsmanship Program. This program focuses upon participant and spectator expectations, including the importance of coaches and parent spectators, modeling expectations set forth for participants and all spectators. The CIAC website has information regarding the program. Schools that participate in the program also establish a student leadership team led by the school's athletic director.
Thank you very much.
Before you leave, could you introduce yourselves to our new board member?
Sure.
Seated to your
I'm
left.
Sarah Piscola.
Nice to meet you, Sarah.
Nice to meet you. I'm Michael Madul.
Vincent Mace, nice to meet you.
And I was about to introduce him too. I forgot to at the
Well, they
very
were going to
beginning,
sneak
but-
out, and I wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
they survived finals. They gave me a hard time about not having a snow day last week, which threw them off for their studies. But college updates, everybody's doing well and busy with the process.
Yeah.
I know some news is coming in, and it's an anxious time, and
We'll let you guys know.
still waiting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And before we move on to the approval of the minutes, I'd like to again introduce Mr. Vincent Mace. We're delighted to have him joining the Board of Education, and we're hoping that our full complement remains stable and intact. Right, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the December 14th, 2017 special meeting as submitted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Carolyn seconded. Any discussion? Any corrections?
Good job, Mary.
Okay. Hearing no discussion, we'll move to a vote. Please say aye if in favor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Probably Mr. Mays. You're going to abstain.
I'm going to abstain, okay.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, then we will move on. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the December 21st, 2017 Board of Education meeting as submitted.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we will, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining?
Abstain.
Thank you. I'm moving to personnel. Mr. Whitting?
As you know, we had a discussion in executive session, or rather in our last budget committee meeting, about a few teachers who were going on medical leave but did not qualify for family medical leave because of their length of service. And so I think it was the board's pleasure to grant these leaves under Article 20, which is allowed under the teacher's contract.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of Chelsea Colonies for up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave under Article 20 of the agreement between the North Branford Federation of Teachers and the North Branford Board of Education to begin when the employee's paid sick leave is depleted.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Mercy. Okay, any discussion? Do we need a roll call on this, do you think, Don, or just?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of Kathleen Jones for up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave under Article 20 of the agreement between the North Branford Federation of Teachers and the North Branford Board of Education to begin when the employee's paid sick leave is depleted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Marcy seconded that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of Marissa Levine for up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave under Article 20 of the agreement between the North Branford Federation of Teachers and the North Branford Board of Education to begin when the employee's paid sick leave is depleted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jana. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure they'll be very pleased.
Okay, we're moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. As you can see, under both A and B, there's no reports on recognition and donations. The communications, I think there's a number of things that are recognized as outstanding. I know that I forwarded an email. I'm going to ask Mr. Stepler just to briefly describe the literacy application and the award that Chelsea Dodge received for Kaleidoscope. If you could just highlight briefly some of the details.
Well, over a number of years, the high school English department has sponsored with different faculty members advising the publication, which comes out each spring, in poems, songs, short stories, all sorts of literature are submitted to the faculty advisor. Mr. Ford had done it in the past, and Ms. Dawes has done it. And so everything that's submitted by students isn't included. There's just too much to put in the publication. And this year, Mrs. Dawes and the student editors from last year, 2017 version, were awarded a recommended rating of excellence by the National Teachers of English, which is a pretty prestigious award. And in the communication they provided us a link of all the schools in the state of Connecticut. I think there was less than 6 that were.
There's fewer than 6, and the fact that we were the only DERG, DE, however you want to classify, they were all A/B DERG schools and private schools, private day schools that were included in this list, and it's prestigious. So congratulations to Ms. Dodds for carrying the torch for Mr. Ford, and our students who are putting together award-winning pieces and being recognized on the state level against the bigger schools, the more affluent communities, and the private sector. It's a great honor. So I sent you that link. If you click on it, you'll be able to open up and see the other award-winning schools that were involved. So congratulations to Chelsea and to
Great.
the English
Fantastic.
department. Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Mr. Steffler.
And anything else under communications?
Any questions? The administrators are here. Mr. Mace, our administrative team sits in the first 2 rows. They are always here to answer questions. I'm going to have them go and introduce themselves if they haven't done so to Mr. Mace. And then as you look through the communications, if you highlight things that you have a question for one of the schools, the principals or assistant principals can answer that. So why don't we start with Ms. Wooten?
Good evening. My name is Tracy Wooten. I'm the Director of Curriculum Instructions of the district.
Bruce Williams, Director of Technology.
Hello, I'm Beth Parker, the interim principal at Drummond Harrison.
Greg Wells, assistant principal at the high school. Hi, Todd Stoffel, principal at North Branford High School.
How are you, Mr. Mace? How are you doing? Yeah. From yours.
Hi, Megan Russick, interim assistant principal at NBIS.
Hello, Keith O'Rourke, interim principal at NBIS.
Suzanne Ryder, Director of Special Services.
You're going to get quizzed on that later.
Yes, in reverse order. Also under communication, I'd like to thank the superintendent for sending out the budget school messenger thing to all the parents so that the parents would know what our schedule was with the upcoming budget, and also to let them know that we had to move our board meeting. I thought that was a very well-done piece of communication.
And I want to publicly thank you for moving the meeting from this past Thursday to tonight at my request, and it was greatly appreciated, so thank you. Okay, if there are no questions on communications, field trips, I do have one trip that is included for Ms. Katie Trainer, our Director of Instrumental Music at the high school, for a trip to Six Flags. It's a trip that our students participate in each year. It's on Friday, May 4th, and it's the wind ensemble is going to perform at this annual competition. And this does not require a vote by the board. It's in for informational, so congratulations. I try to keep you apprised of some of the awards that the bands receive throughout when the music program is out touring. I'll continue to do that because obviously we meet once a month. Many of these activities are throughout the year, and it's important for you to be obviously aware of what our students are up against and where they're competing. Okay? The Board of Education meeting dates on our Exhibit D are there if you want to take a look at them. If there's any questions or concerns, now is the time to voice them. And if you are in agreement, I'll need a motion to approve those dates.
I'll give everyone a few minutes to look at the dates, and then we'll call for a vote, or actually for the motion first. What's the exhibit date? I don't know. I'm still there.
We're taking Christmas Day off. See that we have a meeting on the 19th. I think that next day is the 20th, which would be our last day prior to our break.
All right, any questions on it?
This is 2019, remember?
2 of them.
So the calendar we discussed earlier only goes through June of 19.
Are we really going to have a meeting? Oh, right. Never mind.
Okay,
Never mind.
well, actually, let's have the motion first. I'll call for a motion to approve the 2019 Board of Education meeting dates as submitted.
A second.
Well, first I need someone to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
So
so moved.
Thank you. So moved. And then we need a second.
Second.
Jim, thank you. All right. Any discussion on the meeting dates proposed?
No, I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at the 18 calendar, and I said, are we really going to have a meeting the night before Thanksgiving? Yeah, but I was looking at the wrong thing.
Okay, so hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right, so the motion carries.
Okay, thank you. The school calendar, we had some brief discussion. As you are aware, we are following the ACES model, which affords us the ability to match up with other districts for professional development opportunities. That calendar is attached. If there's any questions, discussions, or comments at this time, we'll open that up.
We had some discussion on it.
Yeah, we did.
So I'll get it started. I'll make a motion to approve the 2018-2019 school calendar as recommended by the calendar committee.
And we need a second.
I second.
Now we can discuss.
Now we can discuss. So, Carolyn, you sat on the calendar committee. Would you like to just brief us on the issues there?
Yeah, so we were debating on, we were debating on whether or not to start school on Monday, August 27th, or start on August 29th, which is a Wednesday. We decided to start on the 29th on the Wednesday. Because we thought it would be better for the younger kids that are going into kindergarten to slowly get adjusted. And that would end this, do I say what would end the school?
No, you can, yes, you can go.
Okay. So then that means we would get out of school on the 7th of June, which is a Friday. And we decided to do a half-day December 21st, which would be the Friday before Christmas break, and do classes on November 12th for Veterans Day, with having veterans invited into the school systems, all of them.
Thank you. Any further discussion? We did think that having the small children especially start school on a Wednesday instead of on a Monday would be better, because they get so tired. I mean, our high school kids would probably love to start school on a Monday, but the little ones really are worn out. So, okay then, I'll call for a vote. Do we need a roll call vote on this, do you think, or?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, the motion carries. We have a calendar.
If there are no surprises that year with snow days, then we graduate on a Friday on June 7th.
I know, that'd be nice.
I don't think that happened.
To be continued. Okay, Exhibit E, our ACES Open Choice Program for the students that attend the North Branford school system. We currently have 26 seats that the board has approved. We'll have 4 openings at the start of next year, and my recommendation is to continue with our support of the program with the 26. I'm looking to place them strategically under Exhibit E in 4 different grade points: kindergarten, 3rd grade, 6th grade, and the 9th grade. So we have 4 students entering each school. We do have a waiting list of students. We usually fill these seats quickly, and we've had great success in the past. I will update you on our school choice students at the end of the school year, and then give you a better overview of what their program entails and what their day looks like coming to us.
I think it's a fantastic program.
Right. Anyone, we have quite a few new board members, so I don't know if people have questions about this.
You know, I understand that 22 of them are rollovers from previous years.
Correct.
Okay. So then there'll be 4 new admitted this year.
4 new that will come in at the start of next school year. It's part of the shuffle meal and our ability to provide diversity in our district for surrounding cities in Connecticut. So New Haven is our connect point for our students.
I got the concept.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then, I'll call for a motion for the Board of Education to endorse open choice for the 2018-2019 school year with its continuation of 26 seats.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to legal services.
Basically what I did is I just captured the costs for last year and the first half of this year. And there are, and I'll wait till it circulates.
Man, study this.
It's another eye test, I'm sorry. I've done too many of those today. So basically there are a couple of different categories, and if you look at the first page, for example, those are the top two tables are two different law firms who provide services under what I would describe as general legal, although you can see in the description a little more detail of what things were. The next one down at the bottom with only 3 entries, that's a subcategory for expulsions. If you turn over to the next page, this is one that we would not face in the coming year because this is negotiations, and this had to do, to a large extent, with the arbitration of the teacher's contract. So it's both, in this case, was both the negotiation and the arbitration of the teacher's contract. And then the 346, which is the one below, those are special education legal services. And this was for the year 16-17. If you flip over to the third page, that's where we were through December of this year. Again, general legal services from 2 different firms. And then the next page, and in this case, there isn't any expulsion and there isn't any negotiation, so it goes directly to special ed on the last page. So these are what our legal services were for the last 18 months.
Okay, so my question, what I had said last time, and I was just reporting what had been reported to me, was that the new town attorney was willing to do Board of Ed day-to-day legal fees for a retainer of $1,500 a month. It looks like we don't always spend $1,500 a month. Am I correct on that? Because the special things would be above and beyond that.
And that would not include special ed, I assume?
No.
Right.
No, that was just a general, his firm does do that in Orange, and I believe they're doing that in some other towns. So the mayor had called me as board chair to tell me that this was something that we could look into. But it sounds like it would actually end up costing us more money.
It might, yeah.
I don't understand how it's not a conflict. I know he does it in Orange. Orange doesn't have a high school. Orange is a regional. It only has a couple of elementary schools, and it's a regional after that. And I don't know how this is not a conflict.
Well, I'm not, I'm reporting.
No, I know. I'm just, I was a paralegal for a number of years. I mean, I don't understand. Vince is an attorney. I don't understand how this is not a conflict for him to represent.
I think if we didn't always have such, and I'm hoping that this board can work with the council so that we're not adversarial. I don't think in most situations, most towns, people would even think of it being a conflict of interest to share an attorney. Because for instance, if the superintendent is involved in a lawsuit that the town is also involved in, the town attorney is going to represent him. So I'm not going to go into specific cases, but it would, it wouldn't be a conflict. But I do understand that people are apprehensive about it, and I'm not going to push in that direction. What I would like to do, and it's not on the agenda for action tonight, and I would like time to fill our new board member in on some of the background. I would like to think seriously about using a different attorney for our day-to-day board business as a result of all of the the problems, for lack of a better word, that we've run into. I'm not saying that we don't use him for negotiations down the road, because he has a long history of doing negotiations. But I do think that just for the appearance of putting all this conflict behind us, it might behoove us to move to a different attorney. And there are lots of attorneys out there. So I don't know, I'd like people to think about it.
Well, first of all, I would have to look up the resume of each one. You have 3 different law firms that are working here. And obviously, they were hired because they specialize in a certain area, okay? So I added all this up. You're somewhere in the neighborhood of $145,000 over the past 18 months in legal fees. I wouldn't think that having the town attorney also represent the Board of Ed, I would not agree with that there. That would be definitely, serious problems could arise later on. But there's always a way to shop around for other attorneys that specialize in what these law firms do, and get quotes as to how much they would charge, per hour, and what their per hour is. Is it traveling fees and everything that's included in it, or just to attend the meetings? And I know there was a conflict with the town council and the Board of Ed over the past year, and I'm aware of that there. And that's why I say I'd rather have the Board of Ed be separate from the attorney be separate. Now, what you want is you want an attorney just for the Board of Ed itself.
Well, we have several, and I think the special ed attorney does a very good job of doing special ed from everything I've seen. The policy attorney has done a very good job of doing policy. The attorney that does negotiations and also counsels the day-to-day goings-on of the board, I personally think could have been more forthcoming in steering this board out of trouble. Because there were some things that we've been put under a microscope for that we really could have avoided, and we would have avoided months of dissension and controversy and all of that. And I think it would just be nice to start clean. And I really don't have any idea. I mean, I know there are lots of good attorneys out there. I don't have a suggestion. I just think, as far as this board's credibility with the town, because the town is our financial board, and we need to work with them, whether everyone on this board likes that or not. We really need to work together. It's in the best interest of the students and the schools that we work together in a cohesive manner. I just think that we need to think about this going forward and perhaps change the day-to-day council. And, we could have a committee to look at it, the superintendent and Don could make recommendations, but I think right now, where 2 times in 2011 and now this year, we had to go back and re-vote on contracts and redo things to correct them, it just seems like we shouldn't be making the same mistake over and over and over again. And I don't think any of us want to put the schools or the superintendent or the business manager in this position again. So that's all I'm arguing. I have no one in mind. I do think that Mr. Conan, who is our attorney, has done a fine job with negotiations, and I'm not suggesting that we switch that going forward, but I just want us to think about whether or not we should continue with an attorney that has allowed us to get into situations where we've had bad publicity, we've had uproar, we've had all sorts of just uncomfortableness for everyone concerned. And I personally like it when things are going smoothly. So we can think about this. I would like to meet with you because I have some back information, back documents that other people on the board have been privileged to, and you haven't. We could perhaps bring this up again in February.
Sure.
If that's okay? I don't know if anyone else wants to voice any opinions? Okay. All right. And Don, thank you for getting us this information.
Okay, moving right along. Under administrative openings, as you heard from the introductions, you heard interim mentioned 3 times. So that being said, I'm looking to post on or around March 1st the positions for the principal's positions in the 2 buildings with an interview date of early April and then with recommendations coming in late April.
All right, when you say you're going to post it both internally and externally?
Both internally,
Are we doing
yes.
a brochure to recruit?
Yes.
Okay.
Internally, externally, at the same time, running together, and we'll work with the agencies that we've worked with in the past, and we'll get as large of a span as we possibly can out there. So by late April, I'm hoping to have,
Some recommendations?
yeah, some recommendations, and be through the process.
And I assume the interim candidates apply for these positions?
We
if
haven't
they so
posted it
choose?
yet.
No, but I mean,
They have the opportunity under
Yeah.
internal postings to apply.
And
Correct.
other administrators in the district?
That are in the district that hold the
apply?
certification, the 092, that qualify for it as well. So
Okay.
they'll all get that opportunity.
And also, when you form the interview committee, I think it would be a good thing to have a board member or 2 on the committee. And if you have a community member, I do know that Diane Bumbeck is interested in serving on it. So I don't know.
I don't know what her
about-
residency will be at that point, but certainly would welcome.
Yeah, if she's still in, because she is a middle school principal, and she expressed that
absolutely.
interest.
She would be
So,
a wealth of knowledge.
okay.
Okay. The budget, you heard the dates in our earlier meeting of when we're getting together, the 25th and the 8th. You have a copy of your budget book, so I encourage you to spend some time. If there's any questions that you may have, please send them to central office, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we possibly can with any questions with the budget book.
And we'll do a presentation on the 25th, which is Thursday. And we'll also have information available for the public at that time.
6 o'clock here.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to committee reports. The first thing we need to do, because we've had some changes, we have to review our committee assignments. And we have a vacancy on the budget committee. Right now, budget has Marcy, Shauna, and I'm there because I'm the chair. But we do need another budget and operations member. Budget meets at 6 o'clock on the board meeting dates. And I don't know if any of our new members would like to.
How many, like,
What page are you on?
supposed to be on?
I'm on the
Very last page, is it F?
We have subcommittees. I need your contact information, I'll get a hold of you, let you know what's going on.
Mr. Bates, only where there's a blank.
Yeah, so budget
can't
and
cross anyone out.
operations, we
Some of them are pretty strong in there.
people.
Whatever you can. I mean, if you come at 6 o'clock for that meeting and, you know, you want
Yeah,
to do
Jen,
it.
if you're interested, you could do it, but I think, were you on, you wanted to be on curriculum?
I was thinking about it, but I don't know what everyone else is.
Yeah.
Well, we're all set, there's just,
Yeah. Well, I meant with
you and Vince to hash
I mean,
this
if
one
no,
out.
yeah, I don't know.
And they're
if
both
Vince wants to
arguing, can you hear 'em?
Well, the problem with being on the budget committee is I'm new to this, and it's a lot to digest for a freshman member to look at Don's terrific numbers and say, I understand everything. I'd be lying if I said that.
Well, none of us understand, that's why we ask questions.
Well, I know, but unfortunately, I like to understand things, but
That's a good thing.
if it's like being in the military and you're volunteering me, then Mrs. Squarefoot, I would do it.
I'm trying. Well,
You don't wanna
I
push
just
the wrong
thought,
button.
you know, I would like to have, Diane Bumbeck was was on it, and I would like to have, that spot filled, and I'll be there. And you are a freshman member, but we've got a lot of freshman members here that in the last, 4 months, we've had 4 new members or so. And so we have Shauna and Marcy on it. And usually everyone's there anyway, but it is good to have, someone there.
And when we say budget, it's not necessarily this budget book. We're all just looking at this budget book again for the first time this year. It's more so the monthly, and that kind of thing.
And dealing with the boiler issues and the phone issues and the...
All right, I'll volunteer.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
It's riveting stuff.
They'll break you down eventually, so.
Okay, this is good. All right, and then
Severely outnumbered.
Under curriculum, instruction, and strategic planning, I believe Jana was going...
No pressure there.
Thank you. Jana's volunteering there. Under pension, now this is really a fascinating committee. It really is. And I actually enjoy it. We only meet 4 times a year, and we talk about the town pension, and we have reports given to us, and we look at how our pension in North Branford compares to the growth of pensions in other places, and it really is interesting. And we do need a backup member. And as I said, it only meets 4 times a year.
Yeah, one of the things about that committee, that's actually a town committee.
Right.
And so the town council appoints, but that committee actually takes action, votes on things, make changes in the investment strategy and those kinds of things. So it is important to have an alternate for that committee as well.
Yes,
because they need a quorum.
Right. And I don't even know if I've been officially appointed by the...
Yeah, you
I
will.
have?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they meet during the day.
Yeah, they meet usually at about
4
4 o'clock, except in August, they tend to go to a restaurant I don't know, they have one restaurant meeting, but other than that, it's usually 4 o'clock at Town Hall. And Don's usually there too. We're usually out of there by 5.
Yeah, they're not long meetings.
And they are interesting. So.
Keep looking at it.
No,
We all
but you have to
have
be
our
able to, you have to be able to get there for 4.
I see, we already put everyone into space sometimes. Will you? Okay, all right, Carolyn, thank you. See? But if you ever want to visit, we'll let you know when they are. Okay, under policy. This is another important one, and Diane Bumbeck was on this. There are 3 spots. I love policy, so I can actually put myself there if we need to, but...
It meets during the day though, doesn't it?
Well, we have
Not
been,
necessarily,
because
no, it's flexible.
the policy committee has met wherever the members were available. So they used to, before my time, meet at like 7 in the morning. And then we were meeting at
That was
like...
Dave McMahon's schedule.
Yeah, 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Don accommodates whatever the board members on it need to have happen. So depending on who volunteers for policy, we can then look at schedules and adjust accordingly. But we have some important things coming up with policy.
What policy?
Policy,
Like what?
well, we'll get you a book of your bylaws, and then all of the board policy is online. So for instance, often the state will mandate that we change. Usually they do this frequently. Usually you get your policy approved and they change it the next week, and you have to go back and always stay on top of it. Plus we're looking at making certain that we fix some things that may have led us to get ourselves into the situation we were just in. So we just finished changing the policy regarding the duties of the chair, to take out the will of the board and to make certain that the chair really has no more power or no more clout with a vote than anyone else sitting on this committee. We also just added Robert's rules because we did not have that as a backup default if our bylaws didn't cover something. We're currently looking at compensation because we would like to make certain that, with the non-certified, non-union raises, the board is appraised of it ahead of time, and et cetera. And that's something policy is currently working on. And there are some other things.
Well, the other thing that tends to happen after a legislative session, and of course this year it's a little bit later than usual. So then, for example, the next policy meeting, we're going to have student attendance, student discipline, graduation requirements, and health assessments. All of those have changes that are driven by legislation. So some of the stuff is not necessarily things that you really can spend a lot of time changing, because our attorney, Shipman and Goodwin, is telling us that, based on new legislation, this is what needs to happen. But then there are others, like the board bylaws, where we have a lot more flexibility.
Right. But one of the most, when we have, and actually I was going to ask them to contact CAVE and set up a workshop for the board on roles and responsibility of board members. But we really have a limited duty, really. We set policy, we oversee the budget, and we hire and evaluate the superintendent, and that's about it in a nutshell.
Most of it, yeah.
He's hired to run the schools, so we don't micromanage in the schools, even if we want to. We restrain ourselves from doing that. But policy is something that is really important to this board, because we do set the policy for the schools, and the policy committee in itself is advisory, so they make recommendations. We have 2 reads. Right now, Beth and I would bring the first read to the board meeting. They would have a chance to discuss it, tweak it. For instance, when we were taking the will of the board out, it took 4 months, because we brought it, we had 2 reads, but then the lawyer looked at it and said, wait a minute, I want to do X, Y, and Z, so that we make certain that the chair doesn't inadvertently overstep his or her bounds. So that took 4 months before the board could actually feel comfortable voting on it. So that's what policy does. And usually the meetings are only about an hour. Don lets us know, if Scott attends, Don sort of runs the meeting, and he lets us know what we need to change, because a lot of it, probably 90% of it, is
Statutory.
Yeah, we have to do it. We have to do it. So we are looking for another person on policy, and it really would be good to have a Democrat, because otherwise you'll have all Republicans doing your policy,
What a lawyer that's a Democrat.
So I already thought,
We know,
I'm trying
sitting
not
here at the
to.
table, are you feeling this?
Yeah, I'm a lawyer.
Do you feel welcome? Do you feel welcome?
No, I like policy, so I
Okay, great, thank you. I will put you down. So policy will be Sarah, Beth, and everyone's always welcome to attend anyway. Okay, under ACES, unfortunately, I am not able to make the ACES meetings anymore. So we're going to need someone to fill in for ACES. And ACES is interesting. You don't need to get on the finance committee, because if you get on the finance committee, you have to be there by 11 o'clock on the day that they meet. And you don't have to have a leadership role in it. You can simply go to the meetings. They serve lunch. It's usually a pretty nice lunch. They serve lunch and they have a meeting, and each town or district is represented there. And though it seems like you're just, I don't want to say rubber stamping, but it seems like a lot of it is already orchestrated, there really are important things going on. For instance, earlier this year when they were going to build Leader Hill, they presented the governing board with a general resolution that, when you read the fine print, would have held each town financially responsible for upwards of $19 million should they have defaulted. So that was where the regional board really had to buckle down and say, this is unacceptable. We are not going to make North Branford or Meriden or Middletown responsible for ACES overspending their building budget.
There's about 20 towns in the ACES district, I believe.
Right, there are about 20 towns. They're also working on the health benefits, regional health benefits that I know Don has been looking into, but I don't know if we're going to go that way. It's really interesting. They run the magnet schools, they run a lot of the special ed schools, they do a lot of staff development, they have a lot of building projects going on. They're in the process of getting many of their properties ready to sell so that they can recoup some of the money that they're putting into these other projects. And if it weren't for my own personal circumstances, I would still be on that committee because it's a fascinating way to work with board members from all of these communities and with ACES and see what's going on. So I am looking for volunteers.
Now, that's one that meets
They
during
only
the
meet
day.
once a month. They meet once a month at lunchtime on Skiff Street at the ACES building in the back. And if you volunteer, I could even go to the first meeting with you so I could introduce you.
I could do it because I'm home usually during the day, so I can usually get a babysitter. My only question is like how my circumstances might change. I might not be home during the day. Is that something like then? I don't
Yeah,
wanna,
well
like,
then you could do what I had to do and
yeah.
we would get
I just don't want
someone else to go.
Okay.
Okay, because
You're not locked in for life.
No, you're not,
yeah.
because circumstances do change. So if you would like to, all right, Jana, thank you. Building committee, Beth is our rep, but there are other spots if anyone wants to be on the building committee. Right now, we're not building anything, but we might be, you never know. Actually, I'm being facetious. I don't want people making rumors that we're building something, but we are looking down the road to renovating the high school, and that will become a very important committee at that point. So if anyone wants to join Beth as a rep.
When does that mean?
Shauna?
Yeah, as long as it
Okay.
meets at night, I can't go during the day.
I don't know when they meet.
It is at night. It is at
It's at
night.
town
All
council
right, so
night.
Shauna?
It's 7 o'clock usually.
Okay.
This is actually another town committee.
Okay, but I think that's
And I
a
think they'll
very
have to be
important
appointed.
committee. And then we decided last time that we weren't filling long-range planning because we don't really do anything there.
Well, we haven't had a meeting in a while.
Okay. And then we also need, and I believe Carolyn volunteered to, this is an official committee, but the, is it Fred Parnas?
Oh,
The-
Floyd.
Floyd Parnas, cross-country signage committee. And I think Carolyn, you volunteered, and Sean is on it. Okay. I think that takes care of committees then, and if you want to visit any of the committee meetings, you're always welcome. Then we move on to... All right, Don, negotiation.
yeah, I'm going to ask that we just move that to February. The couple of units are meeting actually tomorrow. And I also recently got the letter from the paraprofessionals because we're going to have to gear up for that one that expires in June of 18. So I'll just review those all in February.
Do we need a motion to table it or anything, or we just?
I don't think so, because it just said possible action, so.
Okay, then we'll move on to budget and operations.
You want to do it or you want me to?
Be my guest.
All right, so we met this evening at 6, and we went over our current budget, the 2017-2018 budget. We have a slight negative in the rentals, and a slight negative in dues and fees, but they've all been, well, dues and fees will recover some from the pay to participate fees that will be coming in, and the rentals were already expended for the year, so that one will work itself out. Otherwise, the budget looks good for the year so far. Budget overview, we got our lovely little books that we can go home and read and be well versed in by Thursday night. And again, if anybody has any questions, send them in. That way, you know, they can be prepared to give us the information that we wanted. We did discuss an early retirement incentive plan, but it's not finalized yet. Checking on a few things before it's finalized. The school calendar, which we voted on already. The high school boiler, there's nothing new with it. We're ready on our end. We've removed everything and we're just waiting for it to be delivered. Luckily, boiler's still operating. I don't want to talk about that too much and jinx it, but we're in good shape right now. And then the phone system, still giving us a lot of problems. We do need to upgrade the system. We got a couple of bids from some state vendors. One is upgrading and one is a new system. The new system would work with which I don't really understand, but the new system is cloud-based. But that would incur a $21,000 increase in fees, increase in funding. So we would have to figure that out, so no decisions have been made.
We'll talk about that more on Thursday night.
Right.
Yeah, I have a question too. When are we talking about the fundraising? That's under policy? Okay, sorry.
That's it for my report.
Yeah, I just didn't want to miss it, sorry.
That's it.
Thank you, Marcy.
You're welcome.
Under curriculum, instruction, and strategic planning, Diane isn't here, so I don't know if anyone that was at the meeting would like to report, or who's our trustee, director of curriculum.
Jennifer Tetso gave a presentation on the Connecticut Seal of Biliteracy and Connecticut Certification for Global Engagement, which was very informative about requirements, and we have a lot of them in place, and the kids that complete them can have a seal on their diploma, and I guess they can also put it on their school resume for college.
So what it is two individual, really recognition programs by the state of Connecticut, encouraging, recognizing, and providing students with the ability to really enhance their student profiles with studies of world language and global studies. The Biliteracy Seal is just that. It recognizes students that are proficient in both English and a language other than English that is supported by a number of credits, as well as passing an examination in the other language. And then the Certificate of Global Competency is a seven credit recognition program of 3 or more credits in world language, 4 in global studies, which could be world history, AP environmental science, a number of different things. And in our instance, one of those credits could be the capstone if it has a global, I would say, a global, addresses global community, and that could be environment. It doesn't necessarily mean another world or another country or anything like that. It can just be going beyond the reaches of our community. It also requires that students get a B or better in all 7 of those credits and participate in an extracurricular or co-curricular activity that has a global component, such as the Spanish Honor Society, the National Honor Society does that, the Diversity Club, Interact, groups that require students to go beyond and reach out to other communities, hopefully those that are beyond the state and even the country.
All right, thank you.
Oh, she also mentioned that the capstone presentations were March 14th and April 11th, and there's supposed to be an invitation that you can go
The
to.
presentations now are different than they were when it was IPP. There were a limited number of students that participated in the presentations, and now we are requiring all seniors to do this. So it involves not only many more seniors, obviously, but community members and teachers and administrators as well, and yourselves. They invited the board. So there will be 23 presentations going on at 3 different times on both of those days. We will be training teachers on using a rubric to score the students, surveying teachers for their feedback on the process itself, as well as mentoring students, and those will happen during 2 of our early release days in March and April.
Okay. Anything additional under curriculum? All right, pension did not have a meeting. Policy, here's our fundraising policy. Scott?
Policy, I didn't attach 4010. There was some discussion over our middle school fundraiser for the Davis Way sign. And I don't know if there's any specific questions to that. It's my understanding that some people were discussing it on social media. And then there was an email that came forward. As an administrative team, we're going to review 4010 and have all administrators make sure that they're aware of fundraising policies in the district. We had purchased a bronze caricature from New Haven Sign for Mr. Davis as part of Davis Way in his honor. And we had a significant donation from our Ed Foundation, and then the school dance was run in his honor. And then a number of people wanted to give monies. So Mr. O'Rourke capped it at $25 to pay for the remaining amount of that money. So everything fell within the policy, and we just want to make sure that, all administrators are aware of the guidelines.
Thank you for going over that. I think that one of the specific questions I received when I received the email from the principal asking parents to send in cash or checks, the question was, why did they install the plaque before they had the money?
New Haven Sign, Peter Deo, he just sent us the bill last week. We have a wonderful relation with him, and he had made it perfectly clear, when you get the monies, you can send it to me or send it to me over time. It wasn't a matter of not being able to raise the money, because we had a number of people who wanted to give significant amounts of money, and numbers of people, so we felt in order to do it, and so that we didn't have a surplus, and then what are we doing with this extra money? Are we gonna put it towards PBIS? We tried capping it at $25.
So as a parent, I got that, and I was shocked. I knew nothing about this, especially being a board member, until the email came out.
Shocked that.
Shocked at just asking for $25 for a sign that was already purchased, that I don't even know if the board was aware of.
Well, there's many things that are purchased that the schools do that you wouldn't be made aware of.
Right.
I mean, all the time they're doing fundraising activities for things.
If you already had the money, why
This was part of...
If you already had the money, why was emails going out asking for donations of $20?
Well, they had 2/3 of the money. So they had the school dance and they had the Ed Foundation donation. They were looking for the excess cost above those two donations.
And even with the school dance, it didn't say that it was going to go towards this plaque.
Oh, no, they made it clear. The group that ran the fundraiser.
Did it go through when we got the invite for the dance? Because what grade was that for the dance? Was it 7th grade?
She's in 7th grade.
So I don't believe on that invite it said.
I didn't read the
that it went
invite for
to.
the dance. I don't know that. I know
That's
that.
what I mean, like you're saying
there's-
all this money goes and we're paying for dances and stuff, and I don't believe it was addressed that money was gonna go towards this.
To the kids,
You got the email.
To the students?
To the parents, like,
I don't, when they send an invitation out, they can do it for World Hunger, they do it for a number of different things. I think everyone was clear that this dance was gonna be earmarked towards, they have the...
I knew nothing about this until I received an email like 2 weeks ago. That's all I'm saying, and it just kind of blew me away that we had.
I don't understand what part that...
Just that we purchased a sign for $1,000.
No, I think he still needed $1,000.
We had $2,000, and we had a number of people that wanted to donate separately. Some were in the hundreds of dollars that they wanted to give. One lady gave a $500 donation anonymously. So we wanted to give other people the opportunity who kept asking the administration, if we want to do something, we want to give something. So this was to give the people that wanted to the opportunity to make a donation.
Why didn't we, I just find it foreign for a principal to ask parents to contribute cash or checks for this purpose, because more typically your PTA would be running it, or your student council would be doing the fundraising, or I think part of the reason parents were
I didn't get
taken
any
aback.
calls. I received no phone calls. I don't know if the middle school received any. I just know that the checks came in. So if people were
So then we
concerned.
get it all the time though, like bring $1 in for this, or,
Right.
you know, if you want to participate in this,
Yeah,
bring
it's
$5.
to me, it was how it was written, though. I don't know. To me, and I
I've
have 3
received
kids
no
in 3
complaints.
different schools that it's like, this is another thing and it's already purchased.
But it wasn't something they have to get
Right, it
to.
sounds like they had.
But I don't know why maybe we wouldn't go to the board and see if there was any way, like, we could have.
But it sounds like parents wanted to donate. It sounds like parents wanted to do
But
something and
that, they were
donate.
asked, it sounded, no, but the letter
But which
sounded
parents
like-
knew about it, I guess is my.
Well, I think what is an important piece is when this all started, Mr. Davis was still alive. And the goal was to get it before he passed. Okay? So it was very time sensitive. And we took that into consideration when we spoke to the owner of New Haven Sign, who said, don't you worry about anything. And you pay me when you get the money. There's no concern. Our goal was to try to get it up for him. We didn't make that date. So that was the reason.
So then what
If you-
happens for the money that went over the sign? Did you make more money that went over the sign?
I don't know where we're at right now. We're a small amount over, and it was going to go into the PBIS account, or you know, when we do. It's all part of the PBIS model and things. The Davis Way sign is going to go in all of the classrooms. The D in their acronym is for the Davis Way. So those extra monies are paying for other things that are associated with that sign.
All right, I think one of the, I think there are a couple things here. One, I don't think the principal or you are going to get the complaints because parents don't want their kids singled out. So they're not going to complain to you. They're
Or
going
they don't have to
complain
donate.
to us. But the other thing is, I think that the board and the schools take a lot of heat for doing things out of order, for ordering signs and having them delivered before people are notified or before the money is in. And I think if we simply made certain we had the funds to cover it ahead of time, there wouldn't be this problem. But there was the other problem with the Davis Way signs, or whatever they were, where the signs had come in, people knew about them, but it wasn't approved yet. So I think just stepping back for a minute.
I don't know what
and
Davis
looking-
Way signs for the walkway.
The ones you were going to put on the driveway that had come in, and people were aware that they were in.
Well, those were for the entrance points to the school. So it's the
But it was
Davis
the
Way
same-
as you
It
enter.
was the same thing, it hadn't been approved at the time. It was when you were
Those were
going to the
those were
council.
$100 signs.
But Scott, they think we're wasting money. If $100
I'm welcome for
doesn't
them
matter,
to.
and
I think the project far outweighed the $100 expenditure, and I encourage when you get a phone call to direct them to me, so I can have the conversation with them if you're getting those concerns.
But I think I don't think principals should be sending letters home to parents, telling them to send that they've installed this, but they don't have the money yet, and they need people to send cash and checks in amounts up to $25. I just don't think that's the role of the principal. I think PTA, student council, the Ed Foundation, I think there are lots of appropriate places, but I don't think our principals should be asking for cash from parents. That's just my opinion.
Is that specified in the fundraising policy?
We may need to look at the
Yeah, and the policy is specific to anything over $1,000 needing approval. So we have the ability to do it for smaller amounts under 1,000.
So, but it was for 1,000, so you approved him sending the letter out.
Well, the 1,000 was from the Ed Foundation.
So we could talk in a
No, he
circle
was
about this for
looking for
45 minutes, seriously? We could
No.
talk about this for 45 minutes and waste everybody's time. So why don't we take action moving forward and look at the policy and see what we can do so this doesn't happen again? It was a wonderful idea. The man was fantastic. Maybe it was tweaked people and aggravated them a little bit. You're gonna tick people off all the time no matter what you do. So let's look at the policy and the policy committee and take steps so this doesn't happen again.
Right. And then the other thing I think we could do with communication is if we know that there's a school sending out something of this nature, maybe the board could be copied on it so we're aware of it, not caught off guard.
So any dances or
But again, that's
anything
micromanaging.
that-
That's
anything
totally
that the schools are
micromanaging.
doing.
We are not supposed to be involved in the day-to-day minutia of the schools. I mean, you know, you said what our three main responsibilities are. Micromanaging a fundraiser is definitely not one of them.
But it wasn't even a fundraiser, it was a principal asking for money.
That was already.
That's micromanaging.
It was raising money for a project or a sign,
But
that's
the idea-
fundraising.
Well, and Sean is right. We don't want to waste more time on this. And the other, right, and the other thing was the Facebook posts looking for people to send money to Michael Auger for food for the kids too. That was, you know, that was the other concern.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
I only know, I
that
saw
was something
Cliff Potter posted that people should send money to Michael Auger to pay for kids' lunches. And I didn't, that was the other part of my question to you. I had questions not only about the middle school collecting money, but why we're sending money to Michael Auger, because we have free and reduced lunch programs.
This was not for free and reduced lunch. This was for other students who were behind in their payment plan for their lunches. So the conversation took place, and it didn't happen, it hasn't happened, but it got out on social media.
Yeah, there's just...
So people were trying to genuinely be helpful. If there's students in need, could we put the monies, you know, into the accounts, and then it could be managed so that if students are negligent in paying, that they would, you know, get
This
help.
could be made very simple.
But we don't do
This is a
that.
private citizen asking us, like,
Yes.
he's not on the school.
And we can't start, like, we can't start responding to everything on social media, because we'll be here forever.
But we don't do
I mean,
that.
the bottom line is, I had two parents say to me, they put money on their child's account through Power School. And they got a notice saying that their account was close to the balance, whatever, you need to put more money in. And she said to her son, "What is going on?" And he said, "Well, I'm hungry. Sometimes I buy 2 lunches." Well, the mother had no idea, because the kid thinks there's money on his account and he's buying 2 lunches. The mother put enough money in for 2 weeks. At the end of 1 week, she's running out of money. She had no idea he was buying 2 lunches. That's a communication issue. I mean, this is just getting so out of hand, all this social media and responding to every little comment that's made on Facebook.
The genesis was over if a child is 3 meals behind, the meal that they're given is a cheese sandwich, I think fruit, a vegetable, and a carton of milk. So that people were saying, or this is what I've heard, I don't follow the social media, that it's embarrassing for the child and it singles the child out, when what we're trying to do is make sure the child has something to eat after being 3. So from that, it got out there about giving money into an account that we could then, but we don't do that, we don't want to manage that.
Okay.
We're looking at our communication system to make sure that with Power School, which is a part of the contract we have with them, parents are notified. It's very expensive, to the tune of about $10,000, Bruce, I believe. To buy another program for the district to send notifications to parents. So what we're trying to do is not spend the $10,000, but let parents know to please go on Power School frequently, check your child's account to make sure you don't get 3 lunch periods behind, and then they're given the cheese sandwich. We're not looking to embarrass anyone. So a lot of this stuff on Facebook,
Power School or any of that.
That's where it all started.
It was simply, if you want to do something good, send money to Michael Auger to feed the need.
Yeah, but that was from Mr. Potter, that wasn't from an employee.
But it was like the day after we had.
But it was, the intention was positive, so the intention was there, we're not doing it, and it's over the cheese sandwich after the 3 days.
All right.
So we're ahead of that, we're on top of that. Again, if you live on Facebook, you
I knew nothing
usually
about cheese sandwiches.
die on Facebook.
When we were kids, it was peanut butter. I was like, no.
All right, so we'll look at.
Peanut allergies now.
Fundraising.
Yeah, now with the peanut,
That's
I know, that's why I was like, when we were kids, it was peanut butter jelly, we were psyched.
So that's the-
But with the peanut allergies, forget it.
All right, well, thank you anyway.
You're welcome.
Okay, ACES, there is.
The one thing we did, also in policy, is the idea of establishing a schedule for the policy meetings, which I don't think we're prepared to do now because we just have new members, but maybe at our first policy meeting, we don't have to go as far out as December 2019. But at least like for the balance of this year, if we can establish policy meeting dates, then if for some reason we don't need one because we didn't get any information from the attorneys or whatever, then we'll just cancel it.
No, that would be good, when we can figure out schedules and do that. No report from ACES, building committee, no meeting, communications, no meeting. So, yes. Under new business, we tabled this, right? We don't have to do that. Moving on to good of the board. Anything for good? The only thing I would like to tell, report is that I will be putting together a little memo for the town council, and I will share it with the full board and the superintendent before I send it to the town council, addressing their concerns. And we thanked the superintendent for the communication via school messenger. Any other things under good of the board?
The Rotary is now recognizing students of the month, and I wish I planned this ahead of time because my son was recognized along with 2 other students from the North Branford High School, and their teachers recommended them for it, so we were able to go to a Rotary dinner, and the children were recognized, and they got a $50 check for their hard work. And it was really nice, but I wish I knew who the other 2.
That's nice.
And do you know who they were? Do you know?
Madsen and John Horace.
Yeah,
John's
one-
last name is slipping my mind right now. The 3 seniors who.
Yeah, John got recognized for music, and who was the girl?
Lydia was from English,
Lydia,
and
yeah.
Chris, I believe, was for science. Project Lead the Way.
I don't know.
The Rotary used to be 1 student a month per month, and it was more difficult to get the advisors there or myself to attend, or in the past, Dr. Welch, Mr. Woods. And the Rotary, and they're meeting our needs, are now doing 3 students periodically throughout the year, 4 times a year rather than month. And I think our advisors probably made that night too.
One of the math teachers, I think, showed up. Yeah, one of the yeah. So it was a really nice night. I thought it was really nice of them to.
The nod is always throws off.
Yeah.
For our staff.
Thanks for helping me.
Okay.
It was unprepared.
Anything additional under good of the board before moving on to visitors and press? We have a 3-minute rule in effect now.
I'm Rosen Maloney, Glenwood Road. On the pension committee, because that is an appointment from the town council, I would suggest that you make a motion with whoever is the permanent person and who your alternate is to get that to us, because the next meeting is February 14th. So the motion is probably just that Board of Ed, is recommending, and whoever the candidates for would be the permanent and Carolyn for the alternate, so that we can get it on our next agenda, so that it can be appointed, because our name is
Okay, so
Yeah, actually, I don't know if we need a motion, because I can, as chair, I can appoint the committees, but we could make a motion.
Well, it has to come to the council so that we can get it on our agenda.
So how do we do it?
And so however you want to do it, but just.
It's probably safer to make a
Let's just make a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Sarah. Are you going to
Well,
be?
I was already appointed, I think, by the council.
But you were the alternate. Were you appointed to become the permanent
I
person?
think I was, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just gonna do it anyways.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
do it again, we'll be
I'm gonna make a motion to appoint Sarah as the permanent member of the pension committee and Carolyn Candelora as the alternate member of the pension committee.
Okay, we need a second.
A second.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, now we get that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other visitors and press? All right, hearing none, I'll call for, well, actually, I'll tell you that our next regular Board of Education meeting is scheduled for Thursday, February 15th, 2018, and then I'll call for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Need a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? abstain.